Hello, my project's over El Salvador. El Salvador is the smallest country out of the seven Central American countries, and it was established when they separated from Spain in 1821. The capital is San Salvador. The government is a republic. President is Nayib Bukele, who was elected in 2019. And the economy is still recovering from the Civil War in the 80s and 90s and largely relies on agriculture. So El Salvador is mainly known for its many volcanoes, and it's also home to many beautiful lakes and borders, and it borders the Pacific Ocean. So the Santa Ana volcano is an active stratovolcano located along the edge of the Cotepeque caldera. It consists of four calderas and craters, and the last eruption was recorded in 2005. You can see it there in the background. The Izalco volcano is one of the most active volcanoes in El Salvador. It's had more than 50 eruptions. It last erupted in 1966, but it's still considered active, and it is nicknamed the Lighthouse of the Pacific due to its many eruptions. Lago de Cotepeque resides in a crater formed as a result of many eruptions. It's the lake that is surrounded by the Santa Ana volcano. It's deemed one of the most beautiful lakes in El Salvador by tourists and locals alike. It boasts warm and turquoise or blue waters for swimming, kayaking, and other water activities. The water changes from blue to turquoise every few years due to microalgae blooming. As you can tell in this picture, the water was blue when I went in June of 2017, but in August of 2017, I read somewhere that it was turquoise. That's cool. Lago del Ilopango is the largest lake in El Salvador, and it also a result of volcanic activity, as most of the lakes in El Salvador are, and it's just outside of San Salvador. So the beaches in El Salvador are characterized by their unique black sand and rocky terrains. The black sand, of course, is a result of volcanic activity. And the Playa El Zante is known for its excellent surfing and beautiful scenery. So clearly you can see here in this top picture that we took, the black sand, it's very coarse, it's very rough. It's not like Florida beaches. And then it's also really rocky, as you can tell in this bottom picture, but it's beautiful anyways. Hoya de Seren. These ruins are from a pre-Spanish farming community that was ruined after a volcanic eruption, much like Pompeii. The Monumento al Divino Salvador del Mundo is the monument to the divine savior of the world. It's in the Plaza El Salvador del Mundo in San Salvador. Like the Christ the Redeemer statue in Brazil, this monument features Jesus, but Jesus is standing on the world, and it was originally built to stand atop the tomb of a past president. The Metropolitan Cathedral of San Salvador is the third cathedral that's been in the spot with the same name. The first one was destroyed in an earthquake. The second was burnt to the ground. And then the third one was finished building. It was started in 1979, but it wasn't finished until 1999 because there was a civil war. So it's finished after the peace accords were signed, and it contains the tomb of Archbishop Oscar Romero. It's one of the most important monuments in El Salvador. Okay, cuisine. Pupusas are the most popular snack/food in El Salvador. Pupusas are made from a corn flour tortilla that is stuffed with cheese, beans, meats, vegetables, a lot of things. National Pupusa Day is the 10th of November, which is a fun fact. These are delicious. If you ever have the chance to try them, you should. Platanos con crema y frijoles is a dish made from fried plantains and is served with black beans and cream, and it's usually served for breakfast. Also delicious. The culture. So a lot of their holidays, they have a lot of the same holidays as the US, but they're celebrated differently. For example, in El Salvador, Christmas Eve is the most important part of Christmas. Families gather after 9 p.m. to eat a large meal, and then they spend the entire night celebrating. And then Christmas Day is mainly used to just like recover from Christmas Eve, unlike American Christmas. And then their Independence Day is the 15th of September, and they celebrate it by like the entire town, like entire towns will have parades through the entire town, and then these giant crazy parades with like cheerleaders and high schools and all kinds of stuff will end at one location, and then that location they have cultural dances and reenactments, and it's like this whole thing. It's very cool. They also have fireworks too. Fiesta de San Salvador is a day to celebrate the Salvadorian identity and the patron saint Jesus Christ. And there's other many important Catholic holidays, such as like the Day of the Cross, which is kind of like Easter. They also celebrate Easter, but it's kind of like Easter. It's celebrated in springtime, and it's another Catholic holiday. The biggest religion in El Salvador is Roman Catholicism, which is 50% of the population. The second largest religion is Protestant due to the rise of missionaries since the 1990s, as opposing to the States where 68% of the population identifies as Christian, 33% are Protestant, 22% are Catholic, 5.9% of the population is non-Christian, whereas only 2.0% of the population of El Salvador is non-Christian. So some differences between El Salvador and the US. Most popular sport in El Salvador is football. The most popular sport in America is American football. School is not mandatory for children in El Salvador, and they also have really long breaks like fiestas. So they'll go to school from like 7 to 3, and then 3 to, or maybe it's 7 to 1, and then 1 to 3 is like their nap time, their lunch time, and they come back and finish school. There are certain gestures that are labeled as offensive in El Salvador that aren't in the US, like this. That's offensive. This is offensive. This is the only way to call people. The products, coffee is the biggest and most demanded product from El Salvador. They're known for having high quality coffee, and coffee from El Salvador is served in large chains such as Starbucks. However, El Salvador is also known for their exportation of sugarcane, cotton, and corn, but it's nowhere near as famous as coffee. Thank you.